If, like me, you're a business owner with ADHD, then this video is for you. I am sharing my top 5 tips on how I manage the overwhelm, the stress, how do I pull it all together, which sometimes I really don't know how I do it myself. So in this video, I'm going to share my tools, my techniques, the things that work for me, the things that don't work for me, but might work for you. Because let's remember, one of us with ADHD is going to be completely different to somebody else. What works for me might not work for you and vice versa. So here we go. I'm going to share my top 5 tips and let's see. Tell me in the comments below what you agree with or indeed what you would add to my list of tips. Not only am I going to give you my tips, but I'm actually going to break down how I do it because I'm starting with prioritize and break tasks down into smaller chunks, which sounds great and is like that wonderful piece of advice that people give us. But I don't know about you, but I really struggle, particularly with prioritizing and particularly with starting big tasks. So for me, the absolute changer of my world has been Monday.com. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, but of course, if Monday.com want to come and talk to me, I'd be happy to because I absolutely love Monday.com and we use it across the team as well, which means it's not just helping me, it's helping others and it's enabling me to see all of the moving parts across the business, which I find really useful. It's got reminders and it enables me to set things up in the way that works for me. So I can set up the flows as they work for me, the information as it works for me, and it works across my devices. So I connect from my laptop to my iPad when I'm on the go, and that makes things much easier for me to break things down. So we've had to do some really big website updates, for example, lately. And whereas before I would have just gone like, oh yeah, website update, or I might have used my kind of whiteboard to chuck some ideas down. I've actually got that structure in Monday. Who's going to do what tasks? And then I can start putting dates on things, which means I can start to visualize. Can I realistically get this done in the time that I'm planning to? Because I don't know about you, but I always expect that I can do significantly more in the time that I have available than I really can, which always sets me on to that sort of negative feeling of not achieving when actually I've just overstretched myself. So Monday is really helpful to me. But then that also moves me into tip 2 and the sort of wider variety of things I've kind of got here that really do help me. So tip 2 is using visual aids and reminders. And this to me is really crucial. So whilst the technical stuff like Monday is really useful to me, I also have this challenge of out of sight, out of mind. So once that Monday app is closed, now I can't remember what's in it. It's not going to do anything for me. So notifying me is really important. My calendar notifying me is really important. Another reason why I wear a watch to make sure that I'm being notified wherever I am and making sure that I'm not going to miss a meeting because it's possible that I will do if I don't get those. But I also use a paper planner. So for me, although as much as I've got all the tech and I do like technology, I like to keep up to date and do things, I have to have this. This is like, it comes with me everywhere I go. And what I do is each week, so this one for me, it's a Clever Fox one and it works so well for me because the pages are blank. So I go into a week like this, so I can put all the dates and things in myself. And what I do on a Sunday evening is I go through my week. So I go through my electronic calendar, which is where things get organised in advance. And on a Sunday, I break it down. I then look at, it's got like my personal to-do list, my work to-do list, my absolute priorities up here, which is really helpful because it gets me thinking. Now, I'm not great at this, and just because you've got a list that says, well, this is your priority, and this is your to-do list, and this is the absolute one thing you're going to do, I'm actually not very good at doing that, and I have to really think about it, but it does help prompt me, and it helps prompt me to think about the various things I've got going on. And then as a business owner, you don't get one-to-ones. You don't get anyone challenging you on what you've achieved or congratulating you often on what you've achieved. So these kind of little mini sort of reviews of the week, so my biggest wins, what I've learned, what I'm going to do better next week, I find these really useful. And then there's actually monthly ones in here as well. I'm going to skip. You've got your 3 month goals in here, which I really love. It helps me to plan, helps me then to plan out my month. So what I do at the beginning of the month is I fill all of this in. I use stickers and coloured pens and all sorts of things because I really love that. It makes me feel a little bit better about things. And then I put in this month's goals. I actually break that down here. I use the notes here to put the tasks, so the things that are going to have to get achieved this month in order to achieve those goals. So that really helps me to break things down. And then each week I go look back to this to look at, okay, what else do I need to do to keep that on track for the month? And at the end of the month, there's this monthly review, which again, I find really useful because I find I get really overwhelmed and not really feel sometimes like I'm achieving something. But when I look back over the month and realise how much I have achieved, that is really motivational to me. So I buy these repeatedly. I've used these for a number of years now. Each year, start the year in January. It's one of my treats to myself over the Christmas period with my nice new planner. And I love that it comes with stickers and things like that as well, because it just feels good. And obviously I've got my coloured highlighters, my coloured pens, all of those things, which helps me to think about things, plan things, and just feel a little bit better as well sometimes about all of the things that I've got to do. I'm definitely a really visual person, and I like to feel what I'm doing in my hands as well. So whiteboards, so big whiteboards are really helpful to me. I also use these little mini magnetic whiteboards to put extra notes on things. And I use a pen with my iPad in Freeform or the Notes app. Really useful. One of the things I love is jotting down ideas, sketching out sort of mind maps, trying to just plan where things are going to go, how things might fit together. Big paper whiteboards, notepads really help me. What I find is when I had paper notepads, I kept losing them. And I liked to have a different notepad for different things. I tried to keep organised, but that just meant I had too many. I lost them around the house. So now I've got it all in one place, and actually having that pen means I've got the mixture between handwriting things, scribbling ideas down, and it all being in one place electronically as well, and it's much easier to carry around than a whole load of notepads. So tip 3 is routine, or maybe no routines. So I keep hearing this tip that for ADHD we need routines, and particularly as a parent I hear this, but for my ADHD sort of parenting is that we need routines to make things happen. And I really struggle personally with routines. I find I get bored with them. I find a bit of Groundhog Day and really struggle as well to actually remember those routines. I like to balance a bit around kind of how my body feels, my energy levels. I'll come back to that as another tip. But sometimes we need routines, and for this, I find as well, it's really important, particularly dealing with home life. So as a business owner and a mum, I can't separate the two. Partly because if I don't have a good run getting the children out to school in the morning, that's going to impact my productivity all day. You may have come across spoon theory, this idea that we've got 10 spoons at the start of the day, and that for most people, it might take one, possibly not even a spoon, to get themselves up out the bed, off to work in the morning. So they've still got 9 spoons to carry on the rest of the day. Those of us who are neurodivergent might find that we're using up 2 or 3 of our spoons just to get ready for work in the morning. If you've got a challenging morning getting children to school, and we know the education system really doesn't help us with that sometimes, that might be all 10 spoons gone before we've even got out the door for school in the morning. So for me, I have to think about how I manage home life in order to make sure that I'm productive in my business. And that means things like lists of what PE kits are needed on what days, when food tech is, so that we've got ingredients and aprons ready, what needs to be in school bags, all the things that need to be done. So even the fact that I have to get breakfast for everybody every morning, I still have it written down on a list because it just removes that working memory, and it really does help me. So I'm not sure whether we need to have like those really rigid routines. For me, I can feel even the getting kids out to school in the morning, I can feel a bit Groundhog Day. It can actually run me down, just the repetitiveness of it, which personally I struggle with. But the advice is supposed to be that routines really help. So if routines help you, then please do use routines, and I'd love to know more about that in the comments below. Perhaps I'm missing a trick here. Tip 4, and I think this is one of the real advantages that we have running businesses with ADHD, and that is delegate wherever possible. Delegate the things that you struggle with. So for me, running my business without my PA was an absolute nightmare. It was an absolute game changer to have a PA who's got on top of all of the admin tasks, the routine tasks, making sure I've recorded things in the right place so that the rest of the team have got what they need, keeping on top of things like Monday and saying, actually, Jen, have you realised that you've got this coming up next week? Reminding me of those things. That for me is really helpful and takes so much pressure off of my working memory and just takes away the tasks that I really struggle to do with somebody who's really good at them. And I think sometimes we can forget that the things that we struggle with or the things that we don't like doing, other people really do like doing. And so it can be tempting to think, well, when I was employed, I hated doing those tasks and I wouldn't want to give them to somebody else to do. And I've heard business owners talk like this, but we forget that there are people who do really enjoy those. And if we can employ that person, they are going to be worth their weight in gold in your business. So absolutely delegate. Don't be afraid to delegate. Know how to delegate well, and I've got loads of videos on giving instructions, giving feedback and things that can really help us to delegate. But I think this one's an absolute game changer and really important. Tip 5, and I hinted at this one earlier, and that is about managing your energy. And again, being a business owner, I think we've often got more ability to do this than we perhaps would do if we were employed. But for me, being able to take advantage of my hyper-focus when I can is really beneficial, and it's when I'm at my most productive. If I get a day where it's like, right, I really feel like writing scripts today and I'm really excited about my YouTube videos, that is when the best scripts will come out. That is when I'm most productive. That's when I feel the best about what I'm doing. Now, it's not always possible. Both work and home get in the way of that. There are times where I just have to go out and pick up the children from school, despite the fact I'm in the middle of a hyper-focus, or of course there's client calls, there's times I'm out to training, and sometimes it is challenging. There'll be days I'm booked out to training, and perhaps when I wake up that morning, my body is telling me that it really doesn't feel like it today, but I get out there, I do it, and I always feel better for it. But I do have to manage that energy levels. I do have to think about, well, how often a week can I train to have the energy levels to actually deliver a really good training session? And that does put a limit on it. And I do have to think about, well, times where I need to just sit down, have a break, step away, have some time to myself, hide under a blanket, put some TV on, and really listen to my body. And I've found the more that I've been able to listen to my body, the more productive I've been, the more use I'm able to get from it when I've got the most energy. And that, again, has been so important. I think that ability to sort of move away from this strict, we will always be productive between 9 and 5. It's not always the case. I can find days where just after lunchtime, my energy levels have dropped and I'm not going to be productive. So I'll go out for a walk, I'll go and do something else. And then I can be working well into the evening. But that's because I've got that flexibility to work when it works best for me. And I think that's, again, something as business owners we can have. And if we can harness that, we can really get the productivity benefits from that. My final bonus tip, because I said I'd give you 5, is these fidgets. And I really think we should be normalising these in the workplace. So using these in video calls in particular, because I really struggle with video calls. I used to like working remotely. So I worked remotely before we had video, where everything was done by telephone. And it was I loved it because I could put a headset on and I could pace around the house whilst I was talking. That's how I concentrate best when I'm moving around. And now we've got video calls and people want to see me on screen, and I can see the benefits of video calls as well. I'm not completely anti them, but these really can help me to stay focused on a conversation in a video call. And I think we should normalise these in meetings. They're cheap. You can get these in bulk. I use them in training. I buy them in bulk for that. Have these in your meeting rooms. Have a bowl of them in your meeting room, so when people come into meetings, they can just help themselves, and it's completely normalised that these help us to focus. The whole idea that we sit like we used to in school with our hands together, looking neatly at the teacher, and that meant that we were listening. We know now that that is not meaning we're listening. We're probably thinking about what dinner we're going to cook or whether we need to go to the shops on the way home from work. So that is my bonus tip on top of the 5 that I've given you. Really hope that they help. I'd love to know more about your tips. Share the ones you loved, the ones you hated that I've given, and any others you want to add in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you with my next video next week.